Hello, I'm Jerry Kelly, the Agricultural Programs Officer at the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources. I wish to welcome you to Unit 2, where we will introduce the concept of good agricultural practices, GAPS, and its standards for implementing. We will also review the relations between food quality, safety, and good agricultural practices to develop an understanding of the overall structure of GAPS and its modules. Over the next 4 weeks, we will examine each module, its elements, and the related good agricultural practices. Until then, please review the reading materials and let's continue the discussion. Thank you. What are good agricultural practices? These are practices that need to be applied throughout the food value chain to ensure food safety during pre-production, production, harvest, and post-harvest. In many cases, such practices also help to protect the environment and safety of the workers. These practices are integrated as a systematic approach which aims at applying available knowledge to address environmental, economic, and social sustainability dimensions for on-farm production and post-production processes that result in safe food and non-food agricultural products. Who benefits from GAPS? The beneficiaries of GAPS being implemented are farmers and their families who will obtain healthy and good quality foods to ensure that their nutritional requirements are met, consumers who will enjoy tastier and safe foods, and the population in general will have access to safer and high quality foods. Levels of good agricultural practices. There are two main levels of focus. At farm level, these practices are related to preparation, production, harvesting, and transport to the packing house. GAPS at the farm level consider environmental hygiene, such as proper waste disposal and personal hygiene of workers, hygienic production in relation to planting material, storage and handling of agro and non-agro chemicals, as well as practices that relate to maintaining food safety and quality during handling, storage, and transportation to the packing house. At the packing house level, GAPS are related to post-harvest procedures and transportation to the customer. Good agricultural practices extends to the design of the packing house for traceability of any cross-contamination, to the control of operations, maintenance and sanitation, personal hygiene of workers at this stage, transportation to customers, as well as providing product information and training of procedures at the packing house. GAP standards worldwide. Good agricultural practices are practices that address environmental, economic, and social sustainability throughout the food chain. These 4 pillars of GAP, economic viability, environmental sustainability, social acceptability, and food safety and quality are included in most private and public sector standards, but the scope that they actually cover varies widely. There are variations of GAP standards at the global, regional, and national levels, depending on the needs of the export market and domestic buyers as well. The concept of GAP may serve as a reference tool for deciding on, at each step in the production process, the practices and outcomes that are environmentally sustainable and socially acceptable while being economically viable. The implementation of GAP should therefore contribute to sustainable agriculture and rural development. Conducting these practices are voluntary actions, but many countries are making these practices and standards mandatory to ensure food safety for all. In this case, compliance to the GAP is verified by a certification process. GAP standards in the Bahamas. Presently, in the Bahamas, GAPs are conducted voluntarily throughout the food chain. The Bahamas Agricultural Health and Food Safety Authority, BASFA, is a regulatory agency responsible for addressing all sanitary and phytosanitary concerns as it relates to food safety and quality, plant protection, and animal health in the country. The main objective of BASFA is to monitor and work to harmonize efforts among enforcement agencies that will protect human, plant, and animal health and well-being. In 2016, BASPA implemented the Bahamas GAP regulation for crop production to guide stakeholders in the best management practices to ensure food safety and quality. As the country strengthens its agriculture sector, it is envisioned to establish the Bahamas GAP standards and a certification process for mandatory implementation. Please take the time to read the Bahamas GAP regulation for crop production. Structure of GAP standards. The basic structure of the GAP standards are categorized into 4 modules covering food safety, environmental management, workers' health, safety and welfare, and produce quality. Each module is grouped into various elements. Each element covers one or more good agricultural practices. Over the next 4 weeks, we will examine each module, its elements, and the related good agricultural practices. Until then, please review the reading materials and let's continue the discussion.